So how do you get the most out of life? In this video, I'm going to give you the simple recipe for every human out there. And that simple recipe, of course, becomes something rather complex when we try to apply it to our own lives. But it is a simple recipe. But don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Go download our free course on our website on time management by clicking the link just below here. So what is the simple recipe? Well, they did a study once in mice where, I'm getting to a point with this, where they took two groups of mice. One group got a little too much food, right? Like they were really able to eat enough. So they were allowed to, every meal they had, they could eat whatever they wanted to eat. The other group was held just below the line, just a little bit, not more than just enough food. This group of mice lived twice as long as this group of mice. And these mice over here was not obese. They looked perfectly normal, right? And the same thing goes for human beings, that we know that the lifestyle we have, even if we're not obese, just the fact that we are eating 3 times or 6 times a day, I don't know how many times you eat, just the amount of food we get on a normal basis, on what we call healthy, is so much food that it actually decreases our lifespan. It's a toll on our body to eat that much. And that we should always, if we want to live as long as possible, have the most energy and have the optimum conditions for our brains and bodies to function in the best way. Providing happiness, energy, all the great emotions, creating a foundation for that, we should actually eat no more than just enough, right? And I'm not talking about food here, but where else is this principle at work? Because I was thinking that sometimes when I have to, pull back on what I eat, I look forward to the point where I can stop this whole thing with the counting calories or whatever it is I do to not, gain weight. And I get this thought that, well, you actually have to do this always, right? Because the part of the brain that wants to push for more food all the time is the lower parts of the brain. That's the monkey that says, well, if there's food, let's eat all of it because I want to get fat so I can get through the winter. It's a basic thing, but you don't have to get fat to get through the winter. Right? Not anymore, but for 99% of your time, or the human race species on this planet, that has been the rule, that it's good to be fat, because then you will survive the winter, but it's not anymore. So now the reality you live in has been created by the frontal lobes, the upper parts of the brain. All the modern commodities and all the things we enjoy now. But those are also the parts of the brain that has to decide what is going into your mouth. So that sphere or that area of control is never something we can just let go of. And if you say it right now, seriously? In me, that's what it creates. You can never let go, man. You have to always have control. But that's not entirely true. But if you get to the level where you practice that, you practice taking charge of what happens in your life, how much you exercise, what your work is, if you're taking charge of in what direction you're moving, what you're putting in your mouth, that's all control. Then you can allow yourself to step out of that and then just eat a 12-course menu with another wine, a different wine to each course in the menu, right? And then be all afterwards, happy, slightly drunk, and all of that. I love that, by the way. You can allow yourself to do that. And because you are on an everyday level, is in control of what goes on and not gorging in all of that, then this will be 10 times better, right? If you do this every single day, then it's going to gradually, the value of it, the value of the experience is just going from, yes, that was awesome, to, I feel sluggish, I feel half dead, right? And the frightening thing is you enter a state where you can't even remember how it is to feel energetic, like being sick for so long that you can't remember how it really feels to be well, right? That's what happens. So you become that sluggish, snail-like existence who's just, it's his only pleasure or her only pleasure is just more food, right? But there's another secret in there. I once heard a talk show where Ricky Gervais was complaining about the fact that now he couldn't exercise his way out of keeping his weight because he was getting older. So his metabolism was changing. And he'd lost weight just by running and exercising incredibly, all right? And then he didn't have to touch his diet, and then he would still lose weight. But that wasn't the case anymore. And then he said, and, I'm just left with eating. I'm just left with gaining weight. And the interviewer said, but can't you just reduce what you eat? And he said, then no way. No, because then I might as well die. Right? Then what's life about then? And that tells me that, the direction in which you're seeking pleasure is a low-level pleasure. I'm sorry. And the tool you're using to get that pleasure will degenerate over time, because that food you're eating that gives you that pleasure will just not taste as well. If you ever tried fasting and not eating for 7 days, and then biting an apple is like hella freaking luya, right? It tastes like 1,000 times better. It's the best apple you ever had in your lifetime. Because you didn't have the apple for 7 days. You had nothing for 7 days. That's if you're poor, then everything assumes a new kind of value, right? If it's the only orange you eat in an entire year, that orange is going to be a feast. And I'm not saying that the poor are lucky. Nothing like that. But so what does that show us? It shows that if those moments where you really just go all in on ice cream or eating or spending money or, partying or whatever it is that you try to pull away from in order to achieve something better, if you only do that, once a week, once a month, whatever, depending on what it is, right? And then you actually enable yourself and you learn to step out of it right after, and it doesn't create a habit, right? Where you go, okay, Friday night, I just go all in, and then Saturday a little bit, and then Sunday, and then, a week goes by and I'm still in it, right? But if you can learn that, to just go all in and then all out, then you can get so much pleasure from that one instance of eating that thing that you like so much, or doing the thing that you like so much, right? Binge watching a series or several movies in a row, and just don't listen to any long-term thinking at all, and just going for whatever feels pleasurable right now. If you can do that and then step right back into it, you have an amazing gift on your hands. And most people can't. They have to stay all the way from it completely, right? But this is really a challenge, isn't it? Really a challenge. But in it lies learning to get control over the lower parts of the brain, who just goes, I want more immediate pleasure. Give me that. I want to spend money. I want to eat that. I want to do this. And then allocating those activities to a controlled space where you do that, and then you can step out of it. Then you can get the long-term pleasure, all the cool stuff, all the fantastic pleasure you can have by having time in your formula. Right? You can have all that, and you can have the other thing, and the short-term pleasure is worth 1,000 times more because you don't do it all the time. Right? Try eating, half a liter of Ben & Jerry's after not eating anything like that for a month. It's going to be amazing. Then eat the next thing and the next thing. Eat 3 of those every day for a month, and I promise you, it will just be like, right? You got my point. So, subscribe, download, and I hope to see you in the next video here on YouTube.